separates us from the artificial intelligence? The difference between sympathy and empathy. You can be sympathetic for someone and not have had the experience of whatever you're sympathizing with. What that made me think was that AI could reach the heights of supreme sympathy. It might be able to get to the height of sympathy, but it would be impossible for AI to be empathetic. So it could have supreme sympathy, but it's always going to lack empathy because it lacks the human experience. And part of the human experience is the mistakes, the flaws, the bumps in the road, the bad breaks, the heartbreaks, and AI can't experience that. So I guess there's all of this talk around artificial intelligence. So you are a psychologist. Can AI replace the psychologist, I guess, is the question.
Sure. I mean, it could try. They've done studies where they found that they've had an AI therapist and people felt helped, but they felt helped by it. But when they realized it was an AI, they were horrified. So, but it's not just me, reeling off some talks about the Oedipal position or about things that happen to you and repressed emotions and so forth. Mm-hmm. It's about me connecting with you and me having a human experience with you. It's just, I've never thought that my job was in jeopardy. I guess for some people, if they just want some cog B stuff, if you breathe this way, if you do this, mm-hmm. if you just want to do cog B, basic cognitive behavioral therapy, which every therapist will do cognitive behavioral on some level, but you could say, if you do this, it has been shown that this will help you with your anxiety, or if you breathe it, fine. Okay.
Sure.
But I think that's very limited.
Well, so that's where I had a Twitter post that I was watching Neil deGrasse Tyson on some podcast. He said that compiled data leads to information, information leads to knowledge, and knowledge to wisdom. That wisdom is seeing how all of the knowledge relates. What's making me think of that right now is the cog B. This is the information, the data, the knowledge, right? But the wisdom would require empathy. So the AI can, again, reach the heights of knowledge. If it's not already there, it could be at the height of knowledge, but will AI ever approach wisdom? And so, again, the AI might be the most knowledgeable cog B therapist possible.
Yeah.
But is it wise? For artists, me being an artist, your wife is an artist, artificial intelligence, art, a lot of artists feel threatened by it. It's kind of like that empathy thing and the mistakes that you have to have. I don't know. I guess I'm not threatened by it either as an artist.
Well, I think the fear that I have, not necessarily personally, but the fear that I have is that AI is going to hollow everybody out. It's just going to sit there and say, there are going to be a lot of people that are now useless, absolutely useless. Now, I'm not saying that with meaning.
No, I know what you know. I know what you mean. Yeah.
But they're useless. You had a job, you had a thing, you met your friends there, you had purpose, you felt proud. You can do these things. And all of a sudden, there's going to be job after job after job after job, or things that people do that are completely unnecessary. And you're thinking to yourself, okay, fine. Now we have, it's going to hollow us out, which may be a good thing. Is it good for me to work at a big box store and that's my life? Right. But it would be part of my life because I meet people there. I do go there and I have, you have friends and you do this. But so I've always felt that AI will lead to true communism, that the state will take care of everybody. And then we're going to have to think like, what do we want to do with this life, and how are you and I and our humanness going to transcend and to grow and to feel a purpose if everything's taken care of for me.
Haven't we kind of gone through some of those? I don't know if you're familiar with Jared Diamond, but one of the things that he talks about in Guns, Germs, and Steel, we are, as cave people, hunters and gatherers, nomads, following the winds. And that essentially once we discover the ability to farm, we don't have to then chase our food and wonder where it's coming from. All of a sudden, there's this, because our time is taken up entirely with hunting and gathering. So the farming, while yes, it takes time, it creates more free time than the animal, primate, human being had ever experienced up until that point, right? The discovery of farming and agriculture. So at that point, you start with the free time is when art and science really start to develop more. This is a very broad version of what he's saying, but essentially it's kind of the same thing. If we had all of the resources available, but then 2 or 3 people want to, steal them and do what they want with them and make people into serfs, that's the danger. But I guess what I'm saying is, in this birth of science and art from having free time, it sounds like a similar thing. We would have more free time. Then what would we do with that free time?
That's right. I think you're absolutely correct. There will be an existential crisis across the world.
Right.
It will be like a lot of people find, their purpose in what they do.
Yeah.
And they find, there's a thing of waking up and I've got, I got the world by the balls. I'm going to create something. I'm going to build something. I'm going to do this. All these things,
right,
that are, we're going to have more free time. But if you take AI to the logical conclusion, everything will be taken care of. Now we're going to have to figure out what to do when we have no more needs except for existential purpose.
Right.
And I think it's going to put a real test to our psychology.
Yeah.
To us feeling like I count, I'm important. I'm needed. I'm needed. I people need me, and I love, to talk about what did you do at work and how did you get there and da da da. It's like all that. It's going to be such an interesting thing.
I just, well, first of all, what you're talking about, I've probably done some of my own little solo podcasts about this. Is the notion though of the existential crisis of, where I'm at. There's a lot of people that work at the Gary steel mills, and so like that steel mill life, and it's like you said, it's not just even what I do. I go to work here, and it's the way I provide for my family. All of these identity things start to come into play, but it's like the politics, the religion, the worldviews, you're in this group of people, right? So then when you're not there, the bottom falls out. For me, it's so exciting because I've spent my entire life trying to knock the bottom out. You know what I mean? We've talked about Jung before, and like the golden scarab dream, right? And his patient, super skeptical, but like it's that shock. It's the boat being rocked. I mean, even you go to the biggest tragedies, 9/11, and you say, look at how people congealed for a moment, how things came together. So I don't know, this probably goes back to our normal space where I'm the the eternal optimist, thinking can't wait for it type of thing. But that is like, when you look at the AI and people thinking that AI itself will have a malicious bend to it. It's like it just takes me to like, isn't this the most pure form of projection that we're going to assume that the technology that is created by man is going to be bad? It's
Well,
going to
okay,
do bad
well,
things.
okay, yes, and I guess that me being the pessimist, I'll take that mantle. But let's not even go to AI. Let's just go to the internet.
Sure.
And yes, it's done some amazing things, amazing things.
Right.
These days, we're seeing the dark side of it.
Sure.
We're just seeing that. We're seeing all these little pods that people come in, and I'm hearing all the reasons why I need to hate you, and you're hearing all the reasons why you need to hate me.
Right. Right.
And it's really causing some trouble, isn't it? It's really causing
Right.
a lot of trouble. I think there's a possibility that if we, and I think maybe I'm rethinking this as I'm speaking with you, that maybe we will exhale, because I don't know how many people love what they do to begin with.
Right. Yeah.
There's
That's a
so
big
many
part of it.
people with just horrid jobs, just soul crushing jobs,
Hmm.
shitty bosses,
Yeah.
people that just dehumanize them.
Hmm.
Uh, the head of the company makes like 400 times more than the average worker, when it
Sure.
used to be like a few times more, and we're just like useless, and we feel this way. And so now I don't have to do that.
Right.
Now I always wanted to be a carpenter, or I always wanted to do this, or I always, wanted to be a poet. And maybe that will allow us to chase our, to what Marx would say, to our highest best purpose.
Right.
Maybe that will be the pure form, the good witch of communism.
Sure.
You know, maybe that will be it.
So it's a technological communism.
And robotics will make a lot of jobs unnecessary.
Right. That's kind of where I was coming from anyway
Yeah,
with it.
yeah,
Of course.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And maybe that's a great thing. Maybe we don't have to, like, do some really horrible, soul-sucking, mindless jobs. And
Well, so like again, the hunter gatherer, if agriculture made the hunter gatherer obsolete, and then robotics make the millwright obsolete. It's just what's the next phase? But I guess what I'm saying is I'm intrigued by, like you said, the psychological question and the potential break. But
sure.
what comes when the seed breaks, what blossoms out of that break is what I guess.
Yeah, we were having Janine and I were having dinner with a couple of ours, friends of
Mm-hmm.
ours. And during that dinner, one of the guy pulls out this thing. He's gonna write me a poem, Janine
Okay.
and I, a poem about ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
using like the chat something, what the AI
Chat
program,
GPT. Yeah, Chat GPT.
Chat GPT. So he added a couple things about Janine, and then he goes, "I want it to be like in 14th century England thing," and another one in this kind. And they wrote like incredible poems about us, and
Right.
it was like very disorienting. It was like
Sure.
like someone knew me really well, and it was really romantic and loving. And it
Right.
was like, oh my God.
It's crazy. Yeah. And that's kind of the same thing that it's doing, visually with the art. But I guess, I remember watching Elon Musk one day talking to, I think it was on like a clip I saw of him on Joe Rogan. And he was talking about the Neuralink thing. So we can't type fast enough. We can't use our mouse click drag enough. We can't do it at the speed even at which our brain maybe would operate, which, as a person who multitasks all day long, who is doing a lot of media and using technology a lot with my art and keeping up with people and everything, I feel that. Like there's a legit like, oh, there's this frustration where I'm like, man, it just like, if I could just do this, I would be so much more productive, so much more would be done. And so Elon is basically saying this Neuralink is the answer. Sounds more like Mark of the Beast to most people. So, and I'm super skeptical of it myself. But the thing is that he's saying, okay, if you don't do this, you will be left behind, because
How
everything,
does the neural link work? How does it make it possible?
it's, I can't tell you the whole thing, and I don't even know if he knows entirely, but it's Johnny mnemonic, it's Matrix. The idea is like you will plug in, somehow you're digitally, you're getting plugged into the digital thing through your own, brainwave.
So we're basically like, it's happening already on a physical basis. Like
Sure.
one of my sister-in-law has a pacemaker, another person has an she has an
Bionic.
artificial knee, and you have,
Yeah.
so we're becoming cyborgs
We're
anyway.
cyborgs, yeah, for sure. But so this is the idea that you're putting it straight into your brain or whatever, right? And he was saying that because the inefficiency, at some point we won't speak because language is inefficient for the communication of what we're trying to get across. That's where I start to feel this contrast as an artist, as a poet myself, as a musician. You can't make Shakespeare obsolete. The challenge of articulating the language and then using the language to say and do, to move people, that's part of the experience. He was basically saying that we just wouldn't even be using language because it's inefficient. And then I guess what I'm saying is like,
That's the fear, is that we are useless eventually, because
mm-hmm.
you know the if you could download all the music programs and all the great things that make music, and all of a sudden we could transcend Mozart, I think we'll become like very docile. What happened to our sense of narcissism, my sense of I'm going to conquer the world and create something, and it's the joy that it brings me when, no, here it is, it's right here. You don't have to worry about it. Here's your dinner, here's your breakfast, here's a great piece of music,
Right.
Here's some artwork, and da 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 da, and it's like, okay, like, I take pride. People, I think when you look at some of the discontent in the world right now, is because the people that had jobs where they could, feed their family and have a cabin by the lake, and they can have, put their kids through college and stuff. It's like, and you feel like a sense of purpose and meaning.
Right.
And that's erased like a sandcastle on the beach, and the water comes and it's gone. I think we're going to have to find meaning in this milieu. Like, we're going to have to find,
Right.
I think there's an answer,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a little scary. I mean, I'm old. I'm too old. I'm in my 60s. I'm too old. I think I'll be gone.
Maybe that other stuff has just been a distraction to the fact that we never had it in the first place. Some of us, or that we haven't.
It's a very smart thing to say.
I don't know.
No, that's good. That's good. That makes me think. That stopped me in my tracks.
Well, it's just kind of lands on you, and like you think about it, because I've got to think about it. It's just I heard it. I just heard it whispered to me. Yeah, but I tell you one thing: it wasn't the AI that told me. It was something else.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
And I think we're going to have to really hang on to that.
To whatever that something else is, right?
That's right. And maybe that will be a muscle that will start to flex.
Yes. Yes.
That we haven't had to flex. Maybe that will be something that we're really going to have to flex intuition and
right.
All of that. And
maybe that's why I said I'm so excited though, then, because I've gone to that gym for quite some time now. I've been working on that. Well, you brought up the internet at this point where we're in a somewhat detrimental, cycle, right? This negativity, this feeds this feeds that. November of 2020, I started, recording videos like this just to talk to the camera. And I had just kind of the way this thing landed on me 2 seconds ago, the idea that the algorithm is the law of attraction. I don't know if we've ever talked about this, but that was the thing that kind of hit me. It was like, wait, the algorithm is the law of attraction in technology. You know, what we seek, we will find. We look at the algorithm right now, even in its current state. Oh, the algorithm is to blame for the fabric of society unraveling because it's got us at each other's throats, right? But what I was realizing was that it wasn't the algorithm's fault. The algorithm was just revealing our worst nature. Because when I look up things and I focus on things in my search bar, right, that are positive or that are about, just say, art or, you know, film or whatever it is that I'm searching, if that's what I search for, the algorithm rewards me, because the whole point of the algorithm is just to keep you engaged, right? So it gives you more of what you ask for. The problem is that we aren't in control of ourselves, and it reveals that by saying, if I poke the bear, it's going to respond, right? And that response is vital to the financial bottom line of Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever it might be. At the end of the day, we have absolute control over the algorithm if we can control ourselves.
Well, that's if well, what if we don't even know that we're losing control? That's the part where I think if we're not conscious and we're not hyper aware of this,
Right. No, I agree
like,
with that for sure. Yeah.
yeah, it's like a hard-boiled egg. Like, we don't even know that, it's like you put a frog in a pot of cold water and you put it on the lowest flame. It doesn't know that it's dinner. It's like, I'm so angry with you. Fuck
Right.
you, JJ.
Right.
Like, wait a minute. You're my friend. What happened?
Right. Right. Well, I mean, can you imagine Hitler and Goebbels with the algorithm and the internet? You know, so I think the main thing is, to me, is that the thing that I'm the most suspicious of, or I'm on alert the most of, is just the financial aspect of how it works and why it works. Because it's like there's not going to be any altruism. That our institutions aren't set up that way. Like the corporation, Mark Zuckerberg has a legal obligation to the bottom line profits of the shareholders of his company, because of the way that we have articulated what we want a corporation to run like. If at the bottom, the only thing that matters is that bottom line profits increase, everything is a mirror, and it's just another reflection.
Well, you're right, but I guess what I'm saying is the fear that I have is my sense of racism, right?
Right.
But like I'm sure I have some racism in me, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not virulent. It doesn't come out. It's just not in my conscious self sometimes, but
Sure.
let's just say it's there.
Right.
I don't want that to become like this huge tumor in my psychology.
Right. Right.
You know
right.
what I mean? Like,
Right.
I accept my misogyny to the degree that I'm a misogynist.
Sure.
But I don't
Right.
want I don't want that to be on steroids. I don't want someone to, like, like when you're like a kid and like two guys in the playground say, yeah, go kick his ass, Penn.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Look,
Yeah. Yeah.
look
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
Weinberg said about you. Yeah, Weinberg, you're not going to
Yeah.
let him. All of a sudden,
Right.
we're friends, and all
Right.
of a sudden, I don't want to fight you. I'm a skinny little kid. I don't want to fuck with you. And then
Right.
now we're fighting.
Right. Right.
Like, it happens like so quickly. And I'm not trying to be a pessimist. I mean, maybe I'm thinking.
No, I mean, I
that,
agree with what you're saying. I guess the question is, how do we turn up more individually? I mean, I like, how do we ask people to turn up to that level of just being vigilant, being aware?
well, to your point, we have to have a beneficent leadership
Mm,
and control,
mm,
because this, to me, my guess is going to be so powerful.
Right.
It has so much, it's like it will have so much possibility for great joy and good. Could take us into space and other planets and everything like that, or it could lead us to, destruction. So I think that you will need very robust, strong, but benevolent oversight.
Mm.
And will we go to war to see who's going to be the overseers?
Right.
Hopefully not. Hopefully the human, the better angels that we have, in a sober way, could say we can all just be happy. We could all have food every day. We could all have clean air. You could have 10, 15 hours a day to do whatever you want to do, to read, to grow, to create. Hopefully, I think that's the upside. Yes, I mean, that's all. We don't pollute our land. We don't, we have everything we need.
Well, there it is.